T-Roc set a more fashionable trend for compact Volkswagen SUVs, representing the brand in the affordable, style-conscious end of the fast-growing mid-sized crossover segment. 4 years into its production run, it was lightly updated with sharper looks inside and out, creating the model that we look at here. As before, almost everything you can't see on this car comes from a Golf hatch, which is no bad thing. As for the stuff you'll admire in the driveway, well, it all looks satisfyingly fashionable.
There's not much fun to be had punting a mainstream T-Roc model about, and even less on offer if you should choose the alternative cabriolet version, which we cover in a separate film. Here, our comments are based on this conventional SUV body style. Seek out engagement at the wheel of one of these and you'll find that plenty of grip and decent body control mark this out as one of the more adept small crossovers you could choose. Plus there's quick reacting steering, which can be further improved by adding Volkswagen's progressive system that reduces the amount of lock you have to apply through tight turns. Driving modes don't feature as standard on mainstream models, and ride quality isn't quite as good as in a Polo or a Golf, inevitably given the extra weight and higher stance, but again, it's a decent showing by class standards. As before, there are 4 TSI petrol engines. Almost all T-Roc folk choose between the first 2 of them. A 115 PS 1-litre 3-cylinder unit, only offered with a 6-speed manual transmission, or a 150 PS 4-cylinder power plant, which can offer the additional alternative of a 7-speed DSG Auto. Stick with the former if you're mainly urban-based, but factor in the latter if you do the occasional longer trip. Or, in that event, consider a diesel, the sort of thing that rivals increasingly decline to offer in this sector, but which Volkswagen is still very much wedded to, thanks to its now cleaner levels of TDI technology. This has to be entirely 2-litre based these days, so the previous 1.6-litre TDI unit makes way for a detuned 2-litre TDI unit with the same 115 PS output, which has to be mated with manual transmission. As before, there's also a top 150 PS 2-litre TDI model, and if you want this with a DSG Auto gearbox, you'll be offered the option of having it with Volkswagen's 4Motion 4-wheel drive system. 4-wheel drive, by the way, is another thing surprisingly hard to find in this segment. Petrol models with the 4Motion system are super rare because there the all-wheel drive system can only be mated with the thirstier 2-litre TSI unit, which has to be had with a DSG Auto. That 2-litre TSI engine is offered in 190 PS form in the mainstream range, or with 300 PS in the T-Roc R performance model, re-engineered for the extra power. The T-Roc has always sold on its fashionable design, and Volkswagen hasn't tampered with that very much as part of this update. As before, almost all sales will be of this high-riding SUV hatch body style, with a wilder-looking T-Roc R performance version at the top of the range, and there's the continuing option of a cabriolet body style too. In profile, the things that marked the T-Roc out before mark it out now. This elongated silhouette with a chrome frame stretching from the A-pillars across the entire roof to the C-pillars, plus a relatively low roofline, short overhangs and a steeply raked C-pillar above meaty-looking rear haunches. Most of the visual changes to this updated model feature here at the front, where this revised grille is flanked by new LED headlamps that can, as here, feature Volkswagen's intelligent IQ light system that uses a matrix of 24 LEDs in each headlight module. Further down, these curious corner panels, framed by daytime running light strips, have been restyled, as has the bumper and the cooling ducts just below it. At the rear, the tail lamps gain brighter LED illumination and darkened lenses, but otherwise things are much as before. OK, of more significance are the changes that lie within, so let's take a look. At its original launch in 2018, we found ourselves somewhat disappointed with this T-Roc's cabin. Trendy style touches didn't compensate for too many hard plastics and standards of materials quality that felt well below those of a comparably priced Golf. Now we find ourselves feeling slightly different. Yes, a Golf interior still feels nicer, but the gap has been closed by a general T-Roc cabin upgrade that primarily adds this soft-touch, foam-cushioned dash top, smarter door cards and revised switchgear. And in a T-Roc, you don't have to battle with the rather confusing futuristic screenfest that marks out the cabin of a Golf 8. You'll want to know what else is new. Well, this smarter steering wheel with its stitched supple leather and capacitive controls, and this digital cockpit instrument display screen is now standard, supplied either in base 8-inch form or, more usually, in this larger, more sophisticated 10.25-inch Digital Cockpit Pro guise. This glass-fronted middle screen comes in a couple of sizes too, 8 inches as standard, either in base ready-to-discover guise, or, as here, in nav-equipped Discover Media form. Or there's the more sophisticated 9.2-inch Discover Pro monitor, which gains extra features including intuitive voice control. So plenty of effort's gone into this update, and the stuff carried over from before still works well. This trendy body-coloured centre fascia trimming panel, the lightly raised driving position, supportive seats with lumbar support, and generally well-judged ergonomics, though your rear view is compromised by the large C-pillars, so you'll need the standard rear parking sensors. Time to take a seat in the back. Inside, the room on offer is fine by the standards of space in comparable small crossovers, though that's not saying a great deal. A couple of 6-foot passengers can just about sit behind a couple of equally lanky front seat occupants with some degree of comfort, but if there's a middle occupant, then they will need to sit legs astride this central transmission tunnel. But the doors are big, there are seat back pockets, you get an armrest with twin cup holders, and these twin USB-C ports are provided below the centre vents. Finally, let's take a look out back. Now, boot capacity varies a little depending on the drive layout you've chosen, rated at 445 litres for a front-driven model like this one, which is 17% more than a Golf, or 392 litres in a 4Motion equipped four-wheel drive variant. It's a lot less in the cabriolet version, of course, just 280 litres there. The cargo area is a good square shape. 7 carry-on suitcases will fit in this front-driven version, and there are the usual tie-down points and bag hooks. OK, let's assume you're among the growing number of buyers switching into a fashionable little SUV like this one from a conventional family hatch. So, in this case, you're moving from a Golf into this T-Roc. What'll the running cost penalty be for that higher set driving position and those more fashionable looks? Well, to answer that, let's consider what's predicted to be the best-selling T-Roc engine, the 1-litre TSI 3-cylinder petrol unit. It manages up to 47.1 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 136 grams per kilometre of CO2, returns that until recently a diesel model would have struggled to reach in this class. But it's still a chunk behind an identically engined Volkswagen Golf, which manages up to 52.3 mpg and up to 122 grams per kilometre, mainly due to the fact that this T-Roc's curb weight is around 60 kilos more than its conventional hatchback counterpart. You may well decide you could live with that, and if you can, you might very well also decide to upgrade yourself to the 150 PS 1.5 TSI petrol model we're trying here, because its fuel and CO2 returns are virtually no different. That's thanks to a cylinder on-demand system that cuts off 2 of the engine's 4 cylinders under light to medium throttle loads. As for the TDI diesels, well, if you opt for the base front-driven 115 PS variant, it should be possible to get up to 60.1 mpg and up to 122 grams per kilometre of CO2. For the gutsier 150 PS 2-litre TDI variant, it's 58.9 mpg and 125 grams per kilometre. All these, by the way, are manual model figures, but there's very little efficiency downside in opting for the alternative 7-speed DSG automatic. A DSG Auto in a T-Roc 2-litre TDI 150 PS model, fitted out with VW's heavy 4Motion all-wheel drive system, though, is a slightly different kettle of fish. One of those can only manage up to 51.4 mpg and up to 145 grams per kilometre of CO2. But of course, that's still a much more efficient way of getting a 4Motion T-Roc than choosing a petrol all-wheel drive version. The 2-litre TSI 4Motion 190 PS model manages only 38.2 mpg and 168 grams per kilometre, or in top T-Roc R performance form, bests of 33.2 mpg and 194 grams per kilometre. Strip away the funky bodywork and the cabin personalisation, and what you've got here is a slightly less efficient but slightly more fashionable alternative to a Golf. But then you could say similar things of just about any other compact to mid-sized SUV contender in this growing segment. It's all about giving the market what it wants, and with the T-Roc, Volkswagen has done just that.